Welcome to, hopefully, this one-time edition of the Director's Chair. I am currently away from my recording setup, aka just my computer and my standard microphone. But I just saw the Odyssey for the second time overall, first time in IMAX last night, and I can't not make a video about this film, because I mean, oh my god, I saw it opening weekend, and I saw it in AMC's XL format instead of seeing it in IMAX. And while I did give it 5 stars on my first watch, for reasons that I'll get into in a bit, there was so much, like, I think that the XL format was kind of flawed for a movie like The Odyssey, because I'm okay with a loud movie, right? I'm okay with like loud stuff. I go to concerts all the time. I actually, completely off topic from film, I just saw The Strokes in concert, and I saw Metric in concert the other day. I'm totally cool with loud noises, right? And I'm a musician myself, all that stuff. I kind of want to preface with that stuff. Like, I'm cool with loud noises. But my God, when I saw The Odyssey in the XL format at AMC, and it gets to the scene, do I really need to preface with spoilers? It's a 3,000-year-old story. So, when it gets to the part where Odysseus and his men stab the Cyclops in the eye with the big thing that's on fire, and that fucking Cyclops lets out that scream, dude. Oh my god. That was the loudest thing that I have ever heard in a theater. It was so, like, ridiculous levels of loud. It was like, it was almost unbearable. And then also with the XL, when I saw it, the scene when they're leaving the land with the sun god's cattle, and Poseidon's fucking pissed and all that stuff, and there's so much lightning and all that stuff. I thought I was gonna go blind when I saw it in the XL format. I don't know what it is that they do at the AMC with the XL stuff, but that stuff was like overbearing. It was a little too much. But when you see it in the IMAX form, I don't know what they do differently or what goes into that in terms of like the technicals with all of that. But it's much more tolerable in that way. Like it's not like you have to like plug your ears or like look away from the screen or anything like that, like I kind of had to do with the XL format. And just obviously seeing the first movie in history to be shot entirely on IMAX cameras in the IMAX format. It wasn't the 70 millimeter, but it's just so hard to get access to that stuff. I think it's sold out at this point. And by the time I even like really kind of, because you know what, the whole thing about this and this YouTube channel is that I am very much new to the whole watching movies thing. You know what I mean? I didn't watch a lot of movies the first 26 years of my life. I just turned 28. I didn't watch a lot of movies. I'm kind of getting into it now as I've turned 27, turned 28. I've kind of gotten more into the movie thing, and this is kind of to be documenting my journey into I don't know, because hopefully becoming a real cinephile or whatever. That just makes me sound like a fucking pompous ass. Like, I just want to be better than everybody. I don't want to be better than everybody. Everybody's better than me, honestly. But, I don't know. Maybe I'll, like, be able to, like, look back at these videos, you know, the director's chair or whatever, and whatever else I do on this channel, and laugh. You know, and see, like, how far I've come as a movie, cinema, film connoisseur, whatever you want to call it. But all that to say that by the time I even knew that it was like the way Nolan intended was such this niche way that's only available in like 25 theaters across America, that it's already sold out. All that stuff. Everybody who knew what they were talking about jumped the gun there, and they got those instead of me. So whatever. Still seeing it in the IMAX format when it's shot on IMAX cameras. You know, good enough for me. And seeing it in the IMAX format compared to the screen at the XL thing at AMC, it did make a difference, you know, having just that bigger screen, getting a wider view of all the shots, man. And that was one of the, you know, the Odyssey to me is a 5-star film, and it's less about the actors and the performances. There are a lot of big names in this movie, of course, we all know that. Matt Damon, Anne Hathaway, Tom Holland, Robert Pattinson, Travis Scott, you know, Charlize Theron. I think I'm saying that more like Celine Dion for some reason, but Charlize Theron, Mia Goth, you know, they're all in there. But the big thing of why I gave the Odyssey the 5 stars that I did give it is more because of Christopher Nolan more than anything. Because yes, I love Robert Pattinson's performance in this movie. If he does not get Best Supporting Actor for this movie, I don't know. I'll fucking riot. I don't know. I'll do something. Anne Hathaway, incredible in this movie. Tom Holland really shows a lot of growth here as an actor. Matt Damon's good. You know, he's just kind of Matt Damon, I guess. You know, shout out to Team America. Camera's kind of falling there. But anyways, the big thing about it for me was the amazing shots of, like, you know, the 3 boats in the water all panned out and stuff. You know, during when Odysseus is leaving Troy, and you know, the flashback to when Odysseus and Penelope are in bed and they're talking about exiling together and you know, sailing towards the horizon, and they've got that shot of the water with the sun setting with the 2 little pieces of land that I think are, I think at least, you know, I could be totally wrong about this, but it looks like where the whirlpool is, and the thing that takes the 6 men from Odysseus' boat. I can't remember the name of it right now. But that shot is incredible. There is just so much incredible camera work from Christopher Nolan in this movie that it's like, oh my god, you know, everything is just like scratching the part of my cinematic brain that I didn't even know I had with the camera work. So major props to Christopher Nolan for what he did here. Is the Odyssey, you know, all things considered, yes, the Odyssey is a 5-star film, but is it as good as something like The Dark Knight or Inception? I don't know. I really liked Inception. You know, The Dark Knight is you know, I'm 28 years old. The Dark Knight was a huge part of my childhood growing up. Just a huge piece of pop culture. Heath Ledger's performance in The Dark Knight stellar. Is it, or even, now that I've said that word, obviously I don't think The Odyssey is as good as something as Interstellar, but they are both 5-star films in their own way. It's just hard to say. It's hard to say. It's hard to, put something that just came out like 10 days ago up against something that's had, say like The Dark Knight, what was that, 2007? That's had, 20 years to sit with the public and build a legacy, and then the tragic passing of Heath Ledger, kind of adds to, the performance was incredible. Did you not get that twisted? Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker in The Dark Knight is one of the greatest acting performances probably in film history. But his tragic passing not too long after the movie came out adds to, the narrative, and I guess you could say the mystique and the legacy of that performance. It's hard to say, this movie by the same director that came out 10 days ago, it's great and it's just as good as this, 20-year-old masterpiece that's been able to sit with the public and age and, maybe even get better with time. I think in terms of like this generation, 20 years later, from The Dark Knight, The Odyssey is very much a modern blockbuster masterpiece. All of that stuff, even including, Travis Scott in there. As somebody who has been a fan of Travis Scott for a long time, I was okay with him being in it. Nolan knows what he's doing. And in the way that he described it, and kind of the Bard character that Travis Scott plays in the movie is the way that Homer read it. Jesus Christ, the way that Homer wrote it in the Odyssey is that the Bard character that Travis Scott portrays in the Nolan movie is more of a depiction of Homer himself. The way that the Odyssey has been passed down over. I'm just spewing out things that have already been said in article pieces and interviews with Christopher Nolan. Like, that's how he intended Travis Scott's character to be. This is who Travis Scott's character was in the original Homer text in the Odyssey. But all that to be said, I was perfectly okay with Travis Scott being in the Odyssey and his performance. He didn't, I didn't see anything that was, super heinous with Travis Scott being in the Odyssey. So all that to say, again, I just could not do something about the Odyssey after seeing it in IMAX. If nothing else, absolutely a groundbreaking piece of film. Being the first completely IMAX movie in history, seeing it in IMAX, being in the moment when this is coming out. This is just such a big part of modern film culture. And if nothing else, even if the movie wasn't good or, not great even, which it is, I am still very appreciative and very grateful to be kind of a part of this moment in film history. And to kind of close it out, I know after the Cyclops scene and the scene with Cersei turning all of Odysseus's men into pigs, and the way that Nolan depicted it. It was kind of like, you know, horror, body horror in a way. You know, some of those scenes where you know, Cersei's really pulling back their faces and turning them into pigs. It kind of reminds you of The Substance in a way, with Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley. But I don't know. Nolan said he wants to make a horror film. Good on him. I hope he does it. Although I kind of hope that, you know, with his last movie before the Odyssey being Oppenheimer, being a biopic of somebody's life, and, you know, this most recent one being a retelling of, you know, the most famous, maybe outside of like the Bible, you know, the most famous story ever told and passed down. I kind of hope Nolan does something, I guess, more original, you know? I have yet to see Tenet, so, I don't know exactly how, Nolan's, screenwriting or whatever, when it comes to, I don't even know what I'm really trying to say here. I just hope that he, with his horror film, he tells more of like, I don't know. I don't want to say his own story, because, you know, you have to, you know, obviously you have to write the script for, you know, the Oppenheimer story and then his retelling of the Odyssey. But I just hope we get something original from Nolan with his next movie, instead of, you know, a person who already exists, or a story that's been, you know, told for 3,000 years. Like, do you know what I mean? Like I don't want to say that, like, Oppenheimer. I'm not trying to say that Oppenheimer and the Odyssey are unoriginal, but I kind of want Nolan's own story instead of a real person, or, you know, an epic written by Homer. Like, do you know what I mean? So that's what I hope from Nolan next. I don't know, the movie's been out for 10 days and I'm already thinking about what's next for Christopher Nolan. But, yeah, man. What a film. What a masterpiece. I'm just so grateful to be a connoisseur of film in this time. And, stuff like this, even though Christopher Nolan's been around for some time, it makes me optimistic for the future. So that's it for me. Not in the director's chair today, in the car chair today, but hopefully this isn't too bad. I think I'm gonna upload this. Why not? Been talking for almost 20 minutes about the Odyssey. Anyways, yeah, make sure to subscribe to Surf and Film, I guess. A little self-promo here at the end. Why not? Yeah, hopefully I do something more than just pointing a camera and talking at it about movies. You know, I want to make more like I don't know, edited content, I guess. I had an idea of top 5 films that I saw in the theater, but I don't know, that kind of fell through, and I don't know if I'm still gonna do it. But I do want to make, I guess, more real videos that you could actually like watch, instead of, you know, something like this where you kind of just turn it on and listen, or maybe you don't. Maybe nobody listens to my stuff. Maybe nobody watches my stuff. I don't know. Anyways, thank you again if you made it this far into the video, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.